All right, I'm back. Just general notes before I dig into the actual movies. One thing about these is that in general, they are movies that are made where they're made with no effort, and it goes back to the video that I made about So Bad It's Good movies. And the reason why these are not so bad it's good, or are very unlikely to be so bad it's good, and it's something I actually didn't bring up in the video, is if a movie like comes up with a title before they come up with a plot, that's bad. That's a bad idea. And these almost all do that. There's a few that cash in on the name. I mean, they all cash in on the name, but there's a few where it's like they just kind of jam the name onto it. So it's like the Velocipaster thing, right? They come up with the name first and worry about the plot later, and it's not even, there's no passion. And then the other thing is Flies. I'm not an expert on the first three movies. I watched them, or even the ones after that. I might be an expert on these when I'm done, but you know what? Don't call me up for any advice. This video is all I got for this. This is more effort than I should put in, to tell you the truth. The way I remember the original three, which is kind of, for me, even the original series, is the third one has all the flies in it, right? Like I remember the attic room being full of flies and them all on the window. I don't remember them in the first movie. I don't remember them in the second movie. Could just be bad memory on my part. But it's weird that so many of these movies, well, not weird, they're cheap, they're easy. You can do them with a really bad special effect, which I have now seen, or you can do them with just an audio effect, which I've seen many times now. So it's really easy to do Flies, so I understand why they do it, but it's strange to me that they became the symbol of the series. They can't afford a house that looks anything like this place, of course, which is really the most iconic part of the series, the only thing that really should matter. And instead of that, we get Flies. All right, let's go to my list of doom. Oh, Amityville Flashpoint. God, that'd be a better movie. Amityville Vanishing Point. I have to apologize to Playhouse. It's getting moved up to the D tier because this guy's going in the E tier. It's so bad. It's so bad. We actually do get one thing, I think probably the only positive I'm going to come up with in this whole review of this movie. The titles, like whoever did the titles, they used a cool font, or they created a cool font, or whatever. They did it cool. It looks good. So points for that. There's drones all over the place, and the drones are nice because they sort of dispel the whole flat earth thing. Take that, flat earthers. There's so many things wrong with this movie, but did they like use a telephoto lens from the other side of the city? I don't understand it. That is insane. You got this guy borrowing his dad's jacket. Always nice of his dad to loan it out like that. The whole thing feels like it was made by like your local theater or local art collective. So why can't they do a better drug freak out than this movie features? It's baffling. The second most baffling thing though is Lloyd Kaufman. Why are you in this movie, Lloyd? Is there any movie you won't do? Is it like just, as long as you can drive there, you're in? This is bad. Some kind of dimensional rift people fall into and go to another universe like that guy did. I mean, that sounds good. So my prediction, pretty much a million miles off. There's no dimensional rift. There's no plot. This movie is just nothing. And I don't know how I could have guessed that other than looking at how amateur, even the poster's amateur. Amityville Terror, you know what? First thing I see at the beginning is a killer kid, a demon kid. And that was nice. The movie even had a bit of gore. And it had a plot, which the last one didn't. At this point, it shaped up to be one of the better ones. Other than Death House, it's probably the best one I've seen so far. Which is not to say that Amityville Terror is perfect. Why is everybody wearing the same shirt? And of course, the house doesn't look anything like Amityville, which blah, blah, blah. Again, to the idea of this being an actual movie, there's actual camera movement. It looks good, like at least reasonable. It's a movie. It didn't even include the DeFeos, which is Christmas at this point. Like they're just, tapping into this real life murder is in a movie. It's maybe not so bad, but when you watch them all back to back and everybody's doing it, it gets kind of offensive. I'm going to put it C tier, I think. It's a passing grade. See what I thought it would be about. It's so generic. Like, why are they making these covers so shittily generic? They're really hoping that the name Amityville is going to sell you. And there aren't really any good Amityville movies. What the hell are they doing here? You know what? Shitty ghost movie. low budget crap. I think I'm actually not quite right on that. I mean, it is very generic, but it's very low budget, but I've seen far lower on this list so far. So I must give myself half a point, 50%. It was a generic ghost movie, which at this point is better than what I've been watching. Amityville Toy Box, and we get the DeFeos, because the DeFeos are, you know, anything they can cash in on every time. Their name is out there, they're public, they do it. Go, DeFeo. You know, it's 2016, 2017, so everything's got a drone shot in it. And I don't know, maybe at the time it made your movie look like it might have had a budget, but looking back on it in 2023, I think filmmakers have stopped doing that quite as often, or at least doing it in a more creative way. And it just shows you how crap it is. So crap. This one, you know, I think going forward, a lot of these movies are short, 74 minutes. I think it's like what Tubi requires, I'm assuming. These are all, like, I think everything on here almost is like what you'd call Tubi trash. So this one's 74 minutes long. It's got 8 minutes of credits at the end, and they still use the last 5 or 10 minutes to set up the sequels. Nothing happens, it's dumb, it's horrible, and then they can't even fill up an hour of runtime. They've got to, you know, set up their sequel in the... It's just bad. I'm gonna go D. I gotta keep E tier for like the completely plotless stuff. Amityville Toy Box. God, man, if that was like a Puppet Master movie, I'm sure by the time I'm like, what am I, 7 movies in at this point, I'd be hoping for a Puppet Master movie. I don't think I'm gonna get one though. Yeah, you know, maybe here's what I hope for. I don't know if I'm predicting this, but I would love it if they would like throw a bunch of different possessed toys into the movie that attack people. Again, that's Puppet Master, but hey, that's what I want. I'm not going to get it though. So unsurprisingly, with Toy Box, my prediction was a dream, and my dream did not come true. This there's a killer monkey thing in it. Like, okay, no, let me do this correctly. There's a monkey that is supposed to be carrying the curse that does nothing in it. It bangs its cymbals together once. A guy sees a vision. That's it. Nothing else happens with the monkey. I think he steps on it and cuts his foot, but it's not part of the movie. They should have called it Amityville Birthday Party, because that's what it was about. Amityville No Escape is actually pretty good. It's a found footage movie, but unlike the last one, it's actually doing something creative with the format, or at least, you know, picking the right pieces and putting them together. Essentially, this movie is Blair Witch Project meets Paranormal Activity. And I'm sure at some point that's been done before, but it feels kind of fresh and interesting. It's low budget, and I mean, that's what found footage is for, right? But I don't know, it does it in a way that's really interesting. It has the 2 stories going on, and it intercuts them. One is footage from 97, one's footage from whatever the modern time is, 2017 probably. 97 is your Paranormal Activity, and the 2017 is them out in the woods. And, you know, we have real characters, they're semi-likable. It's not bad. I'm going to put this one in the B tier. I think that's a reasonable spot for it. I think it's one of the better ones. And at the end, I might, you know, shuffle these around a bit. Okay, well, you know, Amityville's mostly, even though I've said ghosts a lot, mostly demons, a lot of demons. And I think Amityville Asylum is probably going to be ghosts. This one will probably also be more of a ghost movie based on the cover. I think that's fair. I mean, it's certainly... You know, there's no religious aspect which would immediately make you think of demons, and we don't see enough of them for it to be, you know, demons. I'm going to say I got that one right. I'm going to give myself a point. So Amityville Exorcism just starts off like that. And immediately, the way it started, I was like, is this another Polonia movie? And it turns out it is. It doesn't use footage from the end in the beginning, but it definitely has, you know, it just goes at the beginning. This lacked the fun of the earlier Polonia one. It's very low budget. It's very... The editing is, like, not just bad, but it's annoying. And there are so many dissolve edits, especially at the beginning. Not just the editing of the video, but the editing of the audio is like annoying. It's annoying. It's an annoying movie. The ending is an Exorcist ripoff, which is kind of to be expected. There's this one particular actor.
You don't mean that.
Who is so terrible, I don't understand.
I'm sorry.
Amityville Exorcism sits really comfortably in the D tier.
I'm sorry.
Amityville Exorcisms. I don't know. What is that riding on the success of the last exorcism? I mean, Jesus. Jesus, save me, Jesus. Can I guess found footage again? I'm going to. I guessed found footage. I think I was off by one movie, unfortunately. No points for, horseshoes and grenades, but this is neither of those, so no points for being close. Amityville Clown House. So this is our first sequel. This is the sequel to Toy Box, made like the same year. In case you weren't sure it was a sequel, they make sure to include tons of footage from the first one, including the bulk of the movie, making up like the climax almost of this movie. It's a ridiculous choice. Clown House is a ridiculous name. There's a clown house at the beginning for like 5 minutes, and it never ties back into that. After that, we go back to our monkey doll, which again does nothing. Possession, murder, blah, blah, blah. The voices on it are so quiet, you can't even hear what people are saying some of the time, which is really bad. You think that they've got at least one movie completed and released to Tubi. They should be able to, be technically better this time, but I think they're actually technically worse. And then you've got this woman here.
Transfers between physical locations. Spreading all over.
She's looking down, reading her lines off of the page. I think I sat Toy Box down in the D tier. I'm going to put this in that as well. I think because of the clown scene at the beginning, which is not great, but it's something, I'm going to put it like higher D tier. So when I go back, if I realize, even though I just said it 5 seconds ago and can't remember it, if I realize that Toy Box was like C tier, I'll go C down to D and then move that one up. We'll see. It's better than Toy Box. What did I think it was going to be about? What the hell? There's another friggin' Amityville Clown House. Clown House, Playhouse, and it's got a toy monkey. It's like a series. I wonder if any of these are connected. I'm going to say they're not. Oh. Yeah, all right. Let's go with the obvious. It's Amityville, and there's going to be like a murderous clown ghost. Cool. Better than I could hope for. Might be the best thing ever. I'm going to have to give myself half a point. Technically, one of the things I said was right, and one of the things I said was wrong. I'm a little disappointed. I said, maybe it'll be a series. And then I said no. So yes, it is a series. It's a clown, it's a killer monkey series. But I did guess the clown, and of course that's pretty obvious. But there you go. So half a point for that one. Amityville Awakening. I've used the phrase actually a movie a few times now, but this one is actually a movie. It's produced by Blumhouse, released by Dimension Films. Jennifer Jason Leigh is in it. Kurtwood Smith has a small role. Bella Thorne, who I probably couldn't pick out of a police lineup, but I know her name. The brother is probably an actor I might know, or like somebody will know. He's probably significant. Younger daughter, she's barely in it, but she might have, gone on to bigger roles. I don't know. Anyways, it's a real movie with real actors, real budget behind it. And the budget shows. We've got this, some decent effects. When we see flies this time, they're not blobs blobbing around the screen. They're actually, decent CGI. There's the withered body that the guy has is like a full body, sort of Savini Friday the 13th Part 1 Kevin Bacon neck kind of one. And, it has a little bit of wrinkling here, and you can kind of see it, but it's fine. His withered body looks pretty okay. It actually looks good. I'm glad they did the effect. Let's put it that way. And there's a CG effect when he grows bigger, and there's a CG effect when he withers back down, and they both look good. So, I mean, kudos for that. Biggest kudos are, hey, it's the house. Or if it's not, it's a house that looks like the house. 1,000 points just for that. The most iconic part of the movie is finally back in one of these movies. You want to put flies in there, that's fine. But you can actually include the house, like... winner chicken dinner on that one. And you know what? It's not a bad movie. It takes the same plot as all of them. It actually feels more like part of the series than any of the other ones. It actually references the movies, which is kind of weird, but anyways. Yeah, so you know what? I'm going A tier on The Awakening. It's a real movie. It's not bad. I'm going to predict that Amityville The Awakening is a prequel. 99.9% sure one of these movies is going to be about the DeFeos again, because, it's a story, it's got murder, it's got potentially child abuse, depending on whether that's real or not. I think that'll get a remake in here somewhere. But this one I think is going to be like earlier. It's going to be, the poster's saying no, but whatever. 1950s house gets evil. So I'm dead wrong. It's not a prequel, but I still stand by that prediction. Somewhere in here, there's going to be another one about the DeFeos. Or that's my prediction, not the 50s. 0 points. Amityville, Mount Misery Road. So I think actually the title of the movie is Mount Misery Road, and they added Amityville. Like, this is probably the most egregious example of one that was not even in Amityville. I don't even think it mentions Amityville. They do go to Long Island, New York, which I believe is where Amityville is located, somewhere in that area, but there's no mention of Amityville. There's a specific ghost, there's an asylum, there's Mothman, there's a hellhound, like a bunch of stuff they talk about that could show up in the movie. And if it did, it would not be sitting at D tier, which is where it is, because it's garbage and none of those monsters show up. I wrote a note about something positive about the movie. Might be the only thing. When he's looking through his mail, it's very realistic. Like, he doesn't just find the thing he's looking for at the beginning and open it. He looks at this, looks at that, looks at this, looks at this, puts this aside, looks at this, opens it. Like, that's how you open your mail, right? If we had mail anymore. This movie has this really annoying effect where it uses, like, handheld cell phone, like found footage, first person kind of stuff for part of it, and then in the middle of it, it switches back to it like a normal third person, like a normal camera, and it doesn't make any sense. Like, there's no logic to the idea that it would be switching between these things. It's ridiculous. It makes no sense. It doesn't work. The only reason I think they do it for part of it, and this doesn't explain why they do it for all of it, is so they can like shoot in airports and stuff like that. So okay, so we got our camera and we're just tourists doing our thing, and that's fine. It's stupid, but it's fine. I mean, and they could have gotten away with it because they do parts where they like mute out the audio and they're just sitting there and talking like they would. And I'm fine with that as travel log. But then when they take it out into the woods and it's like, here we are, and then all of a sudden here we are, it's terrible. It's terrible. It's D tier. Let's see how I did. Amityville, Mount Misery Road. Wow, okay. I'm going to predict that there's a bunch of stuff that happens outside the house, like not in the house at all. The house will barely make an appearance in the whole thing. I'm going to give myself a half point. I kind of referred to the house like it was going to be in the movie, and it sure as hell wasn't. In fact, as I said earlier, I think the movie is, the actual title on screen is just Mount Misery Road. Amityville was only added for the poster. So yeah. Anyways, the Amityville murders. Finally, this is the retelling of the DeFeo murders that I'd been expecting. It's got the house. It's got a bit of a budget. It's got Burt Young playing the father of the character he played in part 2. The weirdest thing is that even though it directly exploits the DeFeo story, like by retelling it, it somehow feels less exploitative. It's got a little one fly at the end, you know, because flies are all over these things, but, you know, it feels okay. It was okay. I'm going to give it a B tier, because it was, you know, a real movie. Let's see how close I got on my prediction. Amityville Murders. Yeah, okay, so this is DeFeo. I'm going to guess this is the DeFeo Murders again. This is going back to that. I was dead on. Point for me. Boom. DeFeo Murders. Good job, past Chad. Amityville Island. It's the Polonias again. I'm 99% sure they're going to show up on this list again. And the thing is, they must have made Death House and like it was their most popular movie or got released to Amazon Prime. Something about it made them want to mine that territory over and over again. They're not the only ones who are making these indie, no-budget Amityville movies, but I suspect they've done it more than others. This one, everything about this is bad. It's got these quick, choppy edits. The real estate agent apparently is having a garage sale because they can't sell the house, so they're trying to make some money. Like, they don't own any of this stuff. It makes no sense. They got the same red mask as Amityville Exorcism. They reused a bunch of shots from Exorcism. What is this? What is this? I may have missed one of these, or they're just throwing in whatever they feel like, but there's clips from a movie that I did not even see. I'm not going to even put them up here. They're not worth it. Everything will get re-tiered later. D for now. Let's see how close I got. Amityville Island. Funny story here. When I was a kid, I thought that Amity Island from Jaws was connected to Amityville. And, like, I thought they were the same place. So, yeah, this is Demon Shark Jaws. Demon Shark. God, I wish. There is like one stupid shark scene, but I'm not giving myself a point for that. Maybe, no, not even half a point. No points. No points. Amityville vibrator. Can I just do this whole thing with like a face palm? So it's X-rated, very, very X-rated. It's not softcore. I mean, no, it's not softcore. This is very, very triple X rated. It's not good. It's low budget. A couple of the laughs, like there's a couple of jokes that land okay. It's mild comedy, meh gore, porn, repeat. That's the formula. That said, because of the comedy, I'm going to give it a C. I mean, I would never watch it again. And it didn't. The porn is non-erotic. The horror is not scary. But a couple of the jokes landed. And on this scale, it's a C. Let's see how I did. You know what? The only real prediction here is going to be whether it's full porn or softcore. I'm going to say softcore. I'm going to say this is a softcore porn comedy Amityville movie. No points. Witches of Amityville, or as the on-screen title is, Amityville Witches, or as IMDb has it, Witches of Amityville Academy, which is probably as good a name as any because it tells you up front that you're getting like a Harry Potter kind of thing. And that's what it is. It's Harry Potter with witches and like casting spells, super low budget, not good acting. They threaten a sequel at the end. There's nothing here that people want to see, but there it is. This has the weirdest title sequence. It goes like writer, producer, actors, and like they still haven't even credited the title of the movie. Maybe they were still figuring that out at that point. I'm going to put this in E tier, and again, it could be shuffled later. You know what? How far am I in on this? This is like 17 movies? Holy Jesus, how many movies do I have to watch? All right, Witches of Amityville. I don't know if it's going to be good or bad, but I think at this point I'm going to be looking forward to witches instead of those friggin' ghosts all the damn time. So 5 stars. Well, I guess my prediction for witches was 5 stars. I was a tiny bit off. Amityville Harvest, you know, it wasn't too bad. It was just a vampire movie and nothing more, but it had a decent location. It gave you a little bit about each character. It felt like one of the better full moon movies from the 90s. Not the total schlock like Puppet Master Part 12 or 7 or 5 or even 3. It was made to be something that somebody was interested in and got Amityville tacked on the end. It was such a vampire movie that it shouldn't really have even been called Harvest. Like, I don't understand exactly where that came from. The sign here, that was not great. The opening scene was pretty good. I enjoyed that. And this right here, I mean, it's simple, but it works. It was pretty, you know, it was good for what it did. With like a little less CGI gore, some nudity, it might have been pretty good. And again, this is the Amityville scale. So on the Amityville scale, I'll put this one at, I would put it at a B. It was good. It was good enough for this scale. Oh man, I hope there's a killer scarecrow. This is, again, me hoping and not expecting, but I would love a killer scarecrow at this point in this adventure. Well, 0 points. I think there's a killer scarecrow, but it's not for a little while, I think. And it's not in this movie, that's for sure. I don't understand this. Amityville Poltergeist is a good movie. Okay, well, it's not one that you would say is technically perfect. There's a lot of problems with it. I mean, essentially, it's like a Ring remake, rip-off, let's say. Not so much a remake, but it gets the scares right. Like, it has creepy stuff going on. Creepy stuff that kind of stuck with me a little bit. Scenes end without logic. Something's coming towards the person, and we cut to the next morning, which makes no sense. You gotta do something to make, like, how does this scene end? But it works. It actually works. Despite its flaws, it's a pretty good movie. The main actor's good. Everybody gets enough character. If we're going to talk about American ripoffs of Ringu, I would say this beats the crap out of Gothica. I mean, White Noise is probably a Pulse ripoff, but like all of those Japanese horror ripoffs that ran throughout the 2000s, this is better than most of those. You know what? I'm going to go A tier for this one. So far, it's easily the best of the bunch. See what Past Chad had to say. Amityville Poltergeist. Oh, God, why? I feel like poltergeists are I don't know. Like, I mean, the movie Poltergeist is a very evil, demonic killer beast. I feel like actual poltergeists are, like, not dangerous. I don't know. It's a weird choice. You know what? It's going to be a lot of shit flying around. That's it. That's my prediction. Dead wrong. 0 points, but I'm happy for it. Happy to be wrong this time. Amityville Hex. This is probably one of the worst. It feels like a COVID movie. It probably is. It's no Host, though. I'll tell you that much. Host, yeah. But it seems to either be inspired by the same idea or they actually watched it and decided to make their own version.
Who's up for reciting the Amityville Hex, the latest creepypasta?
Yeah, I don't know. It's bad. It's like a bunch of YouTubers who weren't working together making these little stupid horror sketches. And then, like, Lloyd, why? Why do you have to be in every bad movie? Give yourself a break. Take a day off. Lloyd. Amityville Hex is very much an E-tier movie, and if I had a lower tier, I would put it there instead. Amityville Hex. Going on the cover here, I'm going to guess that it's going to be gory. That's all I got. It's going to be gory. I think there's going to be some blood. I'm hoping. I mean, you know what? My real hope is that they go like full-on 90s Hong Kong horror movie and like have centipedes coming out of people's faces and stuff, or like out of their mouths. That would be amazing, but I don't predict that's actually going to happen. Well, I predicted gore and I'm getting 0 points on that. Like, there was a tiny bit, but the majority of the movie, I'm going to say no, and it didn't leave an impression of gore on me. Maybe there was a little bit, you know. Witches of Amityville had a pretty decent slit throat, and it's better and more memorable than this. In my notes about Witches of Amityville, which is essentially Harry Potter Amityville, I wrote, Savini would be proud. So there's nothing in this movie that would make Savini proud. Amityville Vampire. Now, I've already seen Amityville Vampires, right? So I can confidently say this is the worst Amityville movie with vampires in it that I've seen. Yay! It's an anthology film. All the stories suck. It uses footage from another movie. In fact, at one point, I thought it was a sequel. Wild Eye Releasing, who made a lot of these, they used some footage from whatever movie it was. I don't even remember. I didn't remember at the time. I don't remember now. Doesn't matter. It was, I'm sure, a crappy movie. This is a crappy movie. The effects are by the guy who ran away from Face Off so he wouldn't get booted off. So that's always a good sign. Speaking of effects, there's a vampire towards the end, of course, so at least it's not bait and switch. She's naked, so at least there's some nudity. But, like, her face is all gray, and it ends, like, here. Did they not know she was going to be, like, naked? You don't paint down to where the clothes are going to cover if they're not wearing clothes. And if you can't afford it, don't do the effect. Speaking of bad effects, like, look at the angle of these trees. Like, it looks like the car is driving, I don't even know, sideways? Yeah, I mean, wow. A little bit of gore, a little bit of nudity saves this one from the E tier. Join your friends in the D tier. I don't have a lot to say about this. I mean, I bet it's got all its cards on the table. It's Amityville and a vampire. So I'm going to predict that it's going to be super low budget and look extremely cheap. It's going to have really bad lighting. It's going to be like Dave Dakota. I'm taking a point. You know what? I'm taking a point. Like, it's super low budget, looks really cheap. I'm sorry, Dave Dakota, for taking a smack at you. You've had a long career of movies I don't want to watch. But this is a movie that I wish I hadn't watched. It was bad. Amityville Cult. So you start off with the super thin orange-looking blood, and it's a really bad sign. But it does set you up for the rest of the movie because it's a really bad movie. What do we have that makes this one stand out? Not a heck of a lot. It's like half an hour in, and the only thing that's scary is him reading a book, so that's terrifying. This is 30 seconds of the guy walking up to a bank. Like, that's an important scene. Glad they left that in. Speaking of things they left in, we get this.
Not all succumb to his ways.
You want to hear it?
Succumb.
Now, you tell me that he's not saying succumbed.
Succumb.
You couldn't try a second take? I don't know. It's not like you're paying for film. I hate this movie. It's boring. It's stupid. It's an E tier. Amityville Cult. I don't have much to say here. Twist ending? Let's say twist ending. It's going to have a twist ending. I don't know if there was a twist ending or not. I have no idea. I'm going to say there wasn't, because I might have remembered it if there had been. So no points for me on that one. I'm erring on the side of me not getting points. That seems fair, right? Well, if you made it this far, thank you for hanging out with me. I'm not done yet, but I can actually see the finish line, and goddamn, that feels good.